We are back discussing Apple TV Plus C Season 3, Episode 2, titled Watch Out for Wolves, an episode in which we see Queen Maghra having to make tough decisions. Baba Voss unfortunately learns what happens to Paris, and Kane is on the loose. What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. We are here discussing everything about Apple TV Plus C, the final season, Episode 2, and we got a lot to discuss here in this spoiler review. But before we get into the breakdown, if this is your first time watching one of my videos, I want to welcome you to the community. If you enjoy early movie reviews, daily and weekly TV breakdowns like we're doing today, as well as live streams, well, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that notification bell. If you all enjoy what I had to say in today's review, make sure you're giving the video a thumbs up. Let's try to get this to over 150 plus likes. But more importantly, I make these videos to interact with you all. So go ahead and let me know your pros and your cons in this episode, your thoughts and your theories. Who are these wolves that the title of this episode is named? Is Kofun a wolf? Is Harlan a wolf? Who let Kane go? And of course, what do you all think about Baba Voss finding out about a Paris? Let's talk about it all in the comments below. With all that being said, let's get into the breakdown. Full spoilers ahead as we open the episode with full confirmation that yes, Bo Lion did indeed die in the explosion last week. As Baba Voss knows that the Travantians have an unstoppable power to their advantage, we see Baba laying Bo Lion to rest, and he knows he has to travel back to Paya to stop them from killing everyone as he says his goodbyes to his friend Ranger. Now, I don't think this is the last time we saw Ranger. Again, wolves. Who are these wolves? Can we trust? I mean, Ranger seems like a good and honest and loyal friend, but who knows? You pay someone enough money, you have their wife hostage. We'll see what happens with Ranger, but I think we're going to get more of him later in the season. But let's rewind and talk about Bo Lion. Now, someone mentioned in the comments last week that they felt a little slighted the way that they handled the character of Bo Lion and the death, and I kind of agree with them. More or less, their comment was, Bo Lion is a shadow master. She's a ninja. How did someone track her without her knowing? And also the way that they kind of killed her off, I'll just speak for myself here, it was a bit underwhelming. Now, I just want to know in the comments, how do you all feel about, again, Bo Lion being a tracker herself, being tracked? How do you all feel about that? And also, justice for Bo Lion. Do you kind of feel underwhelmed by the way that she left this show, and particularly in the final season? Let me know your thoughts on all that in the comments below. But there is a little bit of justice because there was a character that was barely mentioned in the premiere last week, and that is Paris. But that's going to change by the end of this review. As we get back to it all, heading back to Paya, we see that Queen Maghra continues to get disrespected as the men who killed the sighted man last week are not begging for their lives or begging for mercy, but instead they're doubling down on their actions as they spit at her. And it's at this point that Maghra kind of realizes the hypocrisy of potentially killing these men and not her own sister, who have committed probably worse crimes. And this is the key kind of foundation of this episode, which I thought was handled beautifully. Look at the decisions that's been laid on her so far in this season, how she's been very kind of passive. For you all that's been watching HBO's House of the Dragon, which we do a lot of coverage, live streams, watch-alongs for that show, right now, Queen Maghra and King Viserys have a lot of similarities. We know deep down they're good people, they're noble people, but they can't make those tough decisions. Well, Queen Maghra makes a decision, multiple decisions, a little bit later that could be considered questionable, but also could be considered, okay, maybe she knows what it takes to keep her people protected. We're going to get to that a little bit later, but getting back into the discussion, we see Jin showing that he's still a badass, as he is, even in his old age, he can handle his own, as he pays a visit to the remaining witch hunters who stand against the queen, and then we see that he wants to close this church while taking out the man's ear. And I wonder if these decisions that Maghra is making, if we're going to see Jin maybe go back to his old ways, not being a witch hunter, but I think, again, the title called Wolves, I don't think he's going to betray her, but I think he's going to really be upset by her lack of decision making, so at least up to this point of the show. But again, seeing him taking out that guy and ripping off his ear, he can still handle his own. I really enjoyed that moment. That fight sequence was pretty well done. But as we cut back to for the good of the kingdom. We see Cain tells her younger sister that her evil decisions that she made were necessary to be the king. You must use force for law. And she tells her if the shoe was on the other foot, she would have her sister killed. And Cain might have thought of her next move as Maghra tells her, the Travantians, they don't want you dead, they want you alive. Now remember that line, because when go back to that scene, look at Cain's eyes when she learns that there is no death on the table, but instead they want her alive. And she's starting to think, maybe I can use this to my advantage to ultimately escape the situation, which we'll talk about that at the end of this review. But I really enjoyed that conversation, especially when Maghra makes that tough decision. Again, notice the decision she makes in this episode. One being she takes Wolfie away from her mother, which obviously upsets Cain, but also her decision to let her sister know they want you alive. Some good decisions, some bad decisions. It'll ultimately come back to bite Queen Maghra in the ass. But as we get back into the episode, we head and checking in with Wren, and she reveals to Oman that she is sighted as they talk about the weapons, aka the bombs. And this is where we see that they're going to try to force their hand in the situation. She finds out, number one, that Ito was the one that killed his dad. And we also get a little bit of story of what motivates him, right? It's not an evil type of decision to help out the Travantians in building these bombs, but instead we learn that they have his family, so he has to follow the rules if he wants to see his family again, which unfortunately leads us to this scene here. Wren attempts to make a deal with him in regards to, we're going to go ahead and stop them from making these bombs while at the same time saving your family. We see that they try to escape, but unfortunately he gets stabbed in the stomach and she runs off to, again, maybe continue to help his family be able to escape, also stopping the bombs. But let me know, Omen, do you think he's dead? Because we see the one gentleman say, we want him alive. So I wonder, obviously he was stabbed in the chest, so I mean, he's probably is dead. But I'm very curious on why they would let the audience know that he has a family if they're not going to redeem that storyline. So we'll see if he is officially dead or if they're just going to have us show Wren is good-hearted. She's not going to only warn Baba Voss and stop these bombs, but she's going to also keep her end of the deal and try to help his family escape. So let me know, what do you think about all that? And we will see him again in the future. Now, this to me, second half of the episode, the first half was fine. Again, Jen fighting, the conversation between the two sisters, Wren going off on her solo mission, all that stuff was fine. The second half of this episode, absolutely phenomenal. Let's get into it here. First scene we get here is Hanawa and Charlotte talking about the witch hunters, but more importantly, talking about fear. And notice how Hanawa is talking about the fear and kind of leaning more into the dark side and being more enforcing her will, enforcing her sight, that she has an advantage, that she might want to use her sight to take out these remaining witch hunters and these people that are not wanting to be in alliance with the sighted. So Hanawa, she's leaning more into the darkness, and I'm kind of liking what they're doing there. But that's one of many incredible scenes. Follow that scene up here with this next one, which we see Kofun visits his son for the first time, and he notices that his son is not sighted, and he's upset by that. We see that Maghra was watching this conversation that Kofun was having with Cain this whole time, and it's almost as if that decision that she's going to make here was kind of the fire to her decisions for the rest of the episode. Because like I mentioned, this is where she saw her son being upset, being manipulated with her sister, and then also the auntie manipulating her nephew. This is where she takes Wolfie, right? And again, that decision maybe it kind of helps Cain get in her position. And who's to say that Kofun didn't maybe give her a key or do something of that nature? Again, wolves, watch out for the wolves. I've been saying it for a while that Kofun sometimes makes some very stupid decisions. I wouldn't be surprised if he was the one that helped Cain get out of the situation. I could be 100% wrong, but let me know what you all think about all of that. But as we finish that scene, we get the reunion between Baba returning home to his family. But unfortunately, it's interrupted very shortly because Maghra tells him about the agreement that she recently made. And Baba and her are having a conversation about she's being lied to and it's time to go to war. He wants to find the ambassador. He wants to lock her up, keep her, because he knows that the Travantians are coming with the bombs. But again, Maghra's like, no, Baba, you've been gone this whole time. I've been holding down the fort. I've been making the tough decisions for our family. I, again, notice the acting and the stakes and the drama going on in these scenes, it is just so well placed. And then you follow that up with a badass moment as we see Baba taking out these guards. He's choking 2 of them at the same time, which was just incredible within itself. He goes into the camp where the ambassador is. She blows her whistle. We see Baba taking out some of the guards with ease, but they ultimately take him down. My only complaint in that scene, it was kind of dark. It was kind of hard to see the action and the choreography fights, but nonetheless, the intensity was still there as they take down Baba. And we end the episode with a move that ties back to the beginning of this review. We see Maghra making yet another tough decision as she has her husband arrested and sent to her chambers. I'm like, damn, Maghra, she ain't playing games. We see Hana was like, Mom, what are you doing? Notice Kofun wasn't anywhere around there. Again, I'm telling y'all, Kofun might be out there with the queen and his new son, Wolfie. Well, we know Wolfie's, I take that back, Wolfie's still in the chambers of, Maghra, but where was Kofun during this scuffle? But I digress. As we finish the episode here, we see Baba in the chambers. He meets his grandson and learns about the situation with his son and the queen, or I should say ex-queen Kane. But more importantly, he learns what happened to Paris. And my man Baba Voss was the Incredible Hulk. He went berserker. He's just running through the chambers looking for Kane. He's pushing the guards out of the way, only to find out she's no longer there. And we end the episode again. Let's throw the speculations in the comments. Was it Kofun that let her loose when he went to go visit her? Did he give her a key? Was it one of the guards? Was it one of the witch hunters? Was it Jin? I said he's going back to his old ways. He doesn't like the decisions that Maghra was making. Did he let her go? Was it the ambassador? Was it Harlan? I mean, who could have let her go? Let me know your thoughts on all that. Again, I'm so glad that Baba Voss had that reaction to finding out about Paris, because we barely got a mention of Paris' death last week, and we didn't even get a funeral for her. So I'm loving that at least Baba's the one that's upset, because Hanawa, Kofun, none of them are, even Maghra, none of them seem to have to be in grieving of losing. Obviously, it was 256 days from season 2 to season 3 as far as that time jump between the seasons, but I'm glad that Baba is like us. Like, yes, I'm still pissed that Paris died at the hands of Kane. So I love that moment there. And listen, man, the stage has been set. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I'm really enjoying it. But I want to know your thoughts in the comments. What did you like about the episode? Again, I thought the first half was fine. Second half was phenomenal. But let me know what you thought of it. Again, your thoughts, your theories, all that stuff. Share it in the comments below. Thank you all for watching my review. I can't thank you enough for the support. If you stuck around to this point in the review, you are awesome. Again, make sure to like the video, share the video, leave your thoughts in the comments, and of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. As you can see on the screen now, come and join the community if you haven't already. Check out my other reviews for C, and check out my most recent breakdown. We'll catch you all on the next one.